Chris, the number's 5. 5 weeks till the NFL draft. 5 weeks. We're almost there. We're almost there.
I thought you were about to give me a Booker T for that.
5 weeks, 5 weeks, 5 weeks, 5 weeks, 5 weeks till the NFL draft, sucker.
Now hit a spinneroonie.
I can't. I got to knock some stuff all over. But let's get this sucker started.
Get dialed in, Panthers fans. Here comes an in-depth look at your team. Exclusive interviews. Locker room insight. Let's huddle up for Panthers Playbook. Here are your hosts, Dennis Cox and Chris Lea.
Welcome back to another episode of Panthers Playbook. That's Chris Lea, Dennis Cox here with you. Folks, leave your thoughts in the comment section. What is the strongest position group on this team? After we've gotten through the early parts of free agency, I mean, there might be some minor moves and stuff like that that are made from here on out, but the bulk of free agency is done. What is the strongest position group on this team, in your opinion? And Chris, I'm going to ask you the same thing. What's the strongest position group right now for the Carolina Panthers? Easy. All right, there it is. Easy answer. Same thing.
Offensive line. And, I mean, you pretty much have no change from last year. You're going to get Austin Corbett back healthy, hopefully, for a full year. If not, we know that there are people in place to take his place if he can't have a full healthy season. Cade Mays, Brady Christensen, and then maybe Andrew Rame if he ends up making the roster. Maybe you still end up making a move or drafting a center at that position. And then you have all the same backups, Chandler Zavala, the guys I just named earlier, Josh Nijman, and then all the same starters outside of the center group. And so, you know, we know with offensive line, that is a position in total, like, of reps. The longer a line can work with each other, the better they can be. And if health is on the Panthers side this year, I just expect the line to probably be the best offense. I thought they were the best position group last year. I think 100%. They're going to, a mile away, become the best position group again this year.
100% agree with you. Like you mentioned, the more starts together, the better an offensive line is. And you hope that, again, Robert Hunt is in his prime. Damian Lewis is in his prime. You hope that Ike Ekwonu still continues to elevate as he goes into year 4. That is something that you also are hoping and anticipating, the continued improvement of a young player. Taylor Moton is solid on the right side as well. Health obviously being the biggest factor going in the middle and at the center position, because like you mentioned, Austin Corbett is back on a 1-year deal. Can he stay healthy? He's been nicked up for multiple years in a row now. We saw Cade Mays, like you mentioned, feeling fine. Brady Christensen can play anywhere. I wouldn't hate the idea, though, if they invested into somebody that could be a long-term solution at center, if they find someone maybe in the 4th or 5th round that they feel could possibly be that. But I'm 100% with you.
Yep.
100% with you on this one. So you and I were actually, we're right here, Chris.
We're right here.
We're right here.
We're right here.
We are right here. Right here.
Here.
Now, Chris, you and I are actually kind of, for today's episode, are actually discussing, you know, what kind of ranking the position groups after free agency for the Carolina Panthers. And we kind of broke it down into 10 position groups: offensive line, wide receiver, tight end, running back, quarterback. And then on the defensive side of the ball, interior defensive line, outside linebacker / edge rusher, off-ball linebackers, corners, and safeties. Okay, so 10 total position groups, 5 on each side of the ball. So you and I both ranked offensive line number 1 overall. Who's last in that group? Who's last of all the position groups on the Carolina Panthers roster? Which one do you have ranked last right now?
Safety.
You and I both are right on this. We are right here.
I mean, we have to be, right? Because right now, the only 2 safeties you have on the roster, as of right now, as of us recording this, is Trayvon Moehrig and Damani Richardson. And I like Damani Richardson. I feel like he's somebody that could possibly make the roster, probably have a big special teams role, have a good backup role when it comes to that. And then you have Moehrig. So there's still a lot of questions right there. You don't know who's going to start next to him. You don't know if there's going to be even any depth at this position, because you're talking about literally wholesale changes at that position, unless you're talking about bringing back a few names like, you know, Sam Franklin or maybe some others that were on the roster last year. We know Xavier Woods is not going to come back. he's got a new day going on in Tennessee. But, other than that, like what I did right there, you like what I did right there. Wrestling fans like what I did right there.
Yes.
But other than that,
it's a new day. Yes, it is.
I mean, only 2 guys, no depth, a lot of questions. I think that one has to be ranked last, honestly.
I'm with you on that for the simple fact of just the question marks about who's the second starting safety. Is it Richardson? Okay, great, but you don't have anything after that. That's a major concern for me. Yeah. It's a major concern for me going forward. Can you find somebody in the draft that you might like? Maybe someone slides to you into the second round, or maybe there's a move that you want to go up because Malachi Starks from Georgia slips into the second round. You're like, let's go get that guy, and you move up in the second round and go do that. I'm okay if you make that move in the second round if that guy slips and falls. Because here's something about this draft, Chris, that we have to keep in mind is that this draft is featuring a lot of guys that went back for an extra COVID year. And or maybe, if they had an extra year of eligibility, not only because of that, but also the redshirt years and all that stuff. So you're getting guys. This is like almost like they call it like a double draft class. So in rounds 4 and 5, you might be getting guys that traditionally would go in rounds like late second round, early third. Those quality players are slipping into rounds 4 and 5 in this year's draft. So that's why it's great for Carolina, the fact that they have 2 4th-round picks and 3 5th-round picks, because I think that's really where you can find a lot of really good players in this year's draft. The top guys are always going to come out every single year. That's just how it is. Hey, you're a stud. After your 3rd year, maybe your 4th, you're in the draft, you're going to get picked high. But it's those second-round guys that you can really find good quality starters. You're going to find that in the middle part of the draft as opposed to maybe in years past. So that's what makes this draft so deep as opposed to maybe not top heavy, but a real deep draft. Maybe you find some of those guys in the draft. So you and I both right here with offensive line being the number 1 draft position group so far for the Carolina Panthers after free agency, safety being last. Who's your number 2? I want to know what your second position group is for this Carolina Panthers team right now. Who do you think is the second strongest?
Second best?
Right now? Yeah.
Quarterback. The reason why I say quarterback is because it looks like Bryce Young is the quarterback of the future. At least that's what we saw in the last 7 games of the season. Behind the same offensive line, a lot of it's based off of the offensive line now. So behind the same offensive line, having the same head coach with the same system, a lot of the same receivers, the same star running back, Bryce Young really has no excuse but to take another step next year, right? He came into 2024 with a lot of questions, not just on him, but what was around him, right? Those questions were answered for the most part. I would say 99% of those questions were answered. You would expect the Panthers will do something. You got Rico Dowdle, of course, in free agency, but you expect them to do something in the draft to get him a little more help, maybe some type of a home run threat or whatever. But other than that, he's there. Looks like he's going to be a quarterback of the future. You heard Tershawn Wharton, new defensive lineman, say recently, basically he loves Bryce Young's game. That was one of the reasons why he wanted to come to the Panthers. He believes in Bryce Young. That's really cool to hear, right? That other people are coming to the Panthers because they feel like the Panthers have their quarterback of the future as well. And then if all goes wrong with him, we know that Andy Dalton can at least come in and get a solid job. Is he going to win you a game? I don't know. Is he going to lose you a game? No. But he's going to keep you in it, with the pieces that you have. So, I think that's the second strongest.
Okay. You and I were fairly close on that. I was very split on interior defensive line and QB as that second solid group. Because the reason why I'm putting in interior defensive line just slightly ahead of the QB position is because you get that solidified star, that guy that is going to be your number 1 with Derrick Brown coming back again, hopefully staying healthy. The questions are still with Bryce in terms of we saw that solid 6-7 games. We haven't seen it for a full season yet. That's the one thing that we need to see. We need to see it over 17. That's why I put interior defensive line because of the investment. Tershawn Wharton that you had mentioned, big Bobby Brown coming in as well. You also are now allowing A'Shawn Robinson to play less snaps. You're allowing Shy Tuttle to play less snaps. Trashard Wharton actually even said, you mentioned when he talked to the media earlier this week that he actually played a little bit out of position with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was playing more nose, where he's actually more fit to be kind of around between the guards and the tackles. That's where he's more fit to be, and I think that's what he's going to do. Having the depth on the interior of the defensive line is going to allow Ejiro Evero to continue to use the platoon that he does, but have more quality players to do it. A'Shawn Robinson is not going to be asked to play as many snaps. He's going to be healthier and more fresh as the season goes along. Same with all these guys. They're fit for certain situations. Run downs, run situations versus pass downs. You're going to have different guys platooning alongside Derrick Brown. I like the depth that they built up at that position. So that's why I put them right there. If you want to say 2A, and then quarterback right there, 2B. You know exactly who your quarterback room is going to be going forward, and you don't have any questions about it.
I get it. No complaints on my end. I think I'll a spoiler alert for me.
Okay.
Part of my ranking has to do with familiarity. So
okay,
before we get to everything, I just want to put that out there.
Okay. So after, what's your third? I have interior defensive line 2, quarterback 3. What's your third?
Wide receiver.
Really? Okay.
We still need a deep threat. We still need a number 1, whether that comes in a form of 2 different people or that is all in one person. That's yet to be seen. But the fact that this wide receiving core in Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker, and David Moore, we know that those 4 guys can get the job done. That's essentially all Bryce Young had at the end of the year last year anyway.
Yeah,
right?
That's who it was.
And those guys, I thought, did an exceptional job. There's clearly some things that are missing, right? I think for Jalen Coker and for Xavier Legette, a lot of it was just experience. Legette has some drop issues. You feel like with a full offseason and some focus, he can probably work with that. But his drop issues weren't as bad as some other superstar wide receivers like Jamar Chase. And I think Legette takes another step. Coker takes another step. More that veteran who's been in this system before, Adam Thielen, just crafty, man. He's slow.
Old reliable.
He's slow, but he's crafty, right? And so for me, it's the familiarity of that. Bryce Young knows what they like to do. They know what Bryce Young likes to do already. And so that's why I think my 1, 2, 3 looks the way it does.
Okay. That's totally fair. I actually have wide receiver down at number 5 among my position groups because, yes, you do know what these guys bring, at least the familiarity, like you mentioned, but Thielen is a year older. Can Xavier Legette, can Jalen Coker, again, you assume that they're going to ascend and elevate their games. You just don't know fully yet. And David Moore, is like you said, is that perfect number 5, 6 receiver on their team. Does this receiving group right now have a true number 1 or a guy that will emerge as a true number 1? Not Bryce Young's go-to guy, Adam Thielen, but a true number 1 receiver that you know is a threat on every single play.
I don't think they have that person yet.
That's the reason why I put them down lower at number 5 amongst the position group. And then, I mean, a lot of these position groups tight end, kind of the same thing. You know who your 1 and 2 are with JT Sanders and Tommy Tremble. Okay, who's around there after that? Can both Tremble and JT Sanders elevate their play? Again, young players, you assume that they're going to. You just don't fully know. You can't just always bank on it. You hope that it is there, though. One of the positions I thought was relatively solid, but still needs another piece is running back. I actually have running back as number 4 because I think Chuba Hubbard, you know where you're going to get with Chuba on a game-in and game-out basis. I think bringing in Rico Dowdle, a 1,000-yard rusher last year with Dallas, who had a really strong last half of the year to be his number 2. I still think they need to add a change of pace back, which I think this is the draft to do it. But I think that group is solid. Even if Chuba Hubbard goes out for a game or gets nicked up, you can trust Rico Dowdle to still continue to do the same job.
Let me go back. So just to fill in, my 4 was defensive line, number 4.
Okay.
Number 5, running back for all the same reasons that you just said. Literally everything. There's nothing for me to add right there. I told you my 10 was safety. My 9 is definitely cornerback, right? And that is no slight to Horn, Shaw Smith Wade, or Michael Jackson. It goes back to what you said is depth. Here's something I'm going to be looking out for. And I don't know if too many people are even thinking about this or talking about this, but you remember after they set their 53 and then, when they hit the waiver wire, they picked up a few guys.
Mm-hmm.
The only guy that remains on the roster from when they picked up some guys, Shamar Bartholomew, who the Jets were very, very high on. It's just that I think they had a little bit more depth for them at corner. And so somebody who at the time was a rookie, hadn't quite really done anything, you can just kind of let him go, maybe get him back on a practice squad. He didn't last. He came to the Panthers through that. He didn't play at all last year. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I think he dressed for like 1 or 2 games, played some special teams. That was really about it.
I'm hoping that he's able to show something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because other than that, they've basically wasted a 53-man spot for a year, if not, And so that's something that I am personally looking for and hoping that that he is able to do something. But that's a big question mark. And outside of those guys, who do you have to come in to help you? So I'm 100% with you right there when it comes to cornerback.
My number 9 was actually still edge rusher / outside linebacker. That's actually number 9 for me.
That's
right there behind corner. And the reason for that is because who's the guy that on an obvious passing situation that is the threat on every single play, that guy's getting in the backfield and causing disruption? We saw DJ Wanham play pretty well when
Wanham is the closest.
Wanham's the closest. Patrick Jones felt like with Minnesota that he maybe last year people were saying that maybe he started to elevate and get himself there. He had 7 sacks last season for the Minnesota Vikings. But this team, in my opinion, still needs that turnover threat on defense. Who is that guy? J.C. Horn has 5 interceptions in his career. You don't have Moreg, I think, also has 4 or 5 interceptions in his career. The guy they signed from the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the guy that is going to get that strip sack when you need it most? Like TJ Watt does for Pittsburgh, or Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons or something. Who's that guy that's going to be a turnover threat, play in and play out? You might be quiet for a stretch during the game, and all of a sudden, in the backfield, knocks the ball out of the quarterback's hands, and someone else is jumping on the ball, strip sack, fumble, boom. Offense, let's go on the field. Let's dial up a deep shot. Let's get him on a sudden change situation. They don't have that guy on defense. And generally, you're getting that from a premier edge rusher, generally where you're going to get a lot of those turnovers forced. Panthers don't have that yet. This is my biggest concern for the defense. Right now, with what they brought in, good pieces. Who's the true game changer? Can J.C. Horn be that if he's allowed to travel with the top receiver as opposed to being stuck in the boundary? As I hit my microphone. Don't stick the guy in the boundary. Let him chase the other team's top receiver, or at least be around him. But who's that guy on the front that's going to cause that havoc and force those turnovers on a consistent basis? Who's going to be that 10, 11, 12 sack guy? They don't have that yet.
I am 100% with you. The only thing I would add to that argument is that I do like the signing of Patrick Jones.
As do I.
It makes me a little bit more at ease, but it's not enough, right? And that's why I've been saying that number 8 pick, that's got to be edge rusher, and there should be a plethora of guys who are worthy of that 8th pick who should be available at that point, right? We don't have Brian Burns because we traded him away. This is our time to get our next Brian Burns, our next Charles Johnson, our next Julius Peppers. This is the time to get that guy. And he has some time to learn from Jadeveon Clowney, DJ Wanham, and also Patrick Jones. And within that rotation, maybe Amari Barno and maybe DJ Johnson still makes the roster, whoever, whatever. I don't really expect those guys to play that much. If we have those 4 and those 4 are healthy, we have the guy of the future and some veterans right there to really show them the way. I think that this position group takes a step up. I think it already has taken a step up.
Mhm.
It's just a question of what you just said. Who's that guy when we need that sack, when we need that TFL, when we really need that play to be made, that's going to go out there and make that play. We didn't get a full year of Wanham, so maybe he ends up being that guy.
Maybe
We'll have to see, right? He had a pretty gruesome injury he had to come back from. So if we get a full year of him, we'll see. Clowney, he kind of played in a new system a little bit, right? He said he played in a similar system before, but it's not the system he came from with the Ravens. Maybe he takes a step up. Maybe he's just solid like he was, and maybe Patrick Jones does something. But pretty much for all of mine, where I rank them has to do with questions. You know, 1, 2, 3 for me, I don't have a lot of questions. 4, I don't have a lot of questions. It's just more so like when I put defensive line, it's just more so like in theory, this group should stop the run a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
I'm also, and we haven't brought this up in a while, not too much of a fan of Ejiro Evero system. So
there's that.
Will these guys who are great where they came from in stopping the run be able to still do so within the rules of this particular system? Those are my questions. And that's one of the reasons why D-line is 4 for me. I had those questions at 5 for Hubbard and Dowdle. Number 6 for me was tight end. I love Trimble. I love Sanders. There needs to be somebody else, so I want to see what happens there. And number 7 was inside linebacker for me. I like Jewell. Really solid player. Well, what type of jump will Wallace take in year 2? And how does Christian Roseboom fit in to the situation? He's a tackling machine.
Yeah, he is.
I think that he's going to do exceptionally well in this system. And I think that he also will make it easier for Trevin Wallace. But also, we just have to wait to see. And so that's pretty much kind of why I listed everything the way I listed it. So
I'm right there with you. Right there with you. Maybe this team could add some speed, Chris, maybe through the draft. Some guys like, run the 4.4s, the 4.3s, those kinds of things.
Dennis, this might be a little controversial.
Okay. Stir that pot, man.
If the Carolina Panthers are in the second round,
they pick at 57.
Depending on who's available at the time. Or let's say the third round. Let's say you got the 2 guys that you were looking at in the first and second round. And in the third round, Jalen Milroe just happens to still be there.
Jalen Milroe?
Hear me out.
Go on.
What is the one thing the Panthers were missing on offense last year that they didn't have?
Number 1 wide receiver.
Okay. What's the other thing they didn't have?
The other thing they didn't have, just speed.
Speed, home run threat, essentially.
Yeah, home run threat. Yeah. Speed, home run threat. They haven't had that in a couple years.
Alabama says he ran a 4.3. The scouts say he ran a 4.4, whatever. What's something else that the Carolina Panthers don't have on offense right now that they are missing dearly that maybe this guy could potentially help out with?
Hit me. Tell me.
Since 2019, the Carolina Panthers have not had a solid 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 option. Now, Chuba Hubbard is starting to become that guy, but it's not automatic, right? No. I'm talking about like tush push automatic.
Oh, okay. All right.
Or Patrick Mahomes on 4th and 1 automatic. There's no automatic on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 for the Carolina Panthers. So I feel like there's a few different things you can do right here. Jalen Milroe and the Taysom Hill role, right? You can come in, have a special package for him. He can run a wildcat, or you can use him in the backfield, hand it off. Maybe he can run. This is only if he's willing to do this. If he's not willing to do this, don't use it. But you got to talk to him ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Teach him how to run a few different routes. If he has hands that he can catch, he could be that home run threat. Maybe you can use him on a jet sweep. Maybe you can also use him on a trick play behind the line of scrimmage, and he ends up with the ball, and he's throwing it to a streaking wide open Xavier Legette. maybe also on 3rd and an inch to save Bryce Young, you can have him and sneak him forward. And here's another thing you can do. The knock on him is that he's not really an accurate passer, but you love him as a leader. You also love him as an athlete. He can be the emergency 3rd-string quarterback for the Carolina Panthers that can learn behind Bryce Young, like he's done before, and Andy Dalton. So let's say if Andy Dalton decides to retire after this year or next year, he signed a 2-year deal, then you have a solid backup of the future for Bryce Young.
Backup. Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a perfect spot. He could almost be like Joe Webb, but I wouldn't put him on special teams. I'd use him in certain offensive packages for this year, maybe next year. And when he's solidly the number 2, well, he can solidly be the number 2 behind Bryce Young. And he could be somebody who already has some experience within the offense in different positions. And you can use him in different ways as a threat. Use that speed to your advantage. He may not be an NFL-ready quarterback right now, but he is an NFL-ready athlete right now.
The dude's an athlete. There's no denying that at all.
And let me add this. I'm sorry to cut you off. Let me add this one more thing. The Panthers also don't have the play or the player that takes you by surprise, right? Like there's nothing about like I like the offense. There's nothing wrong with Dave Canales. Excuse me. I was gonna say Dan Morgan. Dave Canales' offense. There's nothing wrong with it, right? But there's nothing. Maybe that's because of the personnel. There's nothing about the offense that catches you off guard. You also, I think, you need to have something that catches you a little off guard, a little, left hook that you don't expect coming, and that could be it.
Okay. In theory, it sounds good. 2 major questions. One, is he willing to do that? And second of all,
that's the big one.
That's the biggest one. But second of all, with so many needs, are you willing? So many needs that need to help you on the field right away. Are you willing to give up a draft pick for a luxury pick?
Well, Dennis Jamel
I mean, that's a luxury. Like if I'm the Buffalo Bills and I got Josh Allen. But again, if I'm an established offense of a really, really good team and I can take that flyer, by all means, go for it. But this team has so many needs, Chris. Like, I mean, you can get another really good edge rusher in the 3rd round. You might be able to find a corner or somebody that you really like in the 3rd round. Guys that need to help you on the field right away. Not somebody like, hey, let's teach you to do something you've never done before.
Well, Dennis Jamel Cox, you said that we had how many 4th-round picks?
We have 2 4ths.
We have how many 5th picks?
3.
We have 2 and a 6 and 1 7th, right?
No 6, 1 7th.
No 6, 1 7. With all of those draft picks, with 5 in the 4th and 5th rounds alone, again, I think I answered your question. If he's willing to do it, right, you got to talk to him ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, if you get to the 3rd round, and let's say the guys that you have already kind of put on your board happen to not fall to you, and you're looking at this guy who's a fringe first, maybe a 2nd-round talent, has fallen to the 3rd, 1, you're getting value for him for that pick, right? Best available, correct? If he's willing and if he falls there, you still have your 3rd-day picks. You have 6 3rd-day picks where some of the same people that you just talked about who would have been 2nd and 3rd round picks in normal drafts are falling because of how deep this draft is. I don't think you really have to worry about that too much. Now, if the Panthers are going into this draft, only 5 picks, only 2 3rd-day picks or something like that, don't waste your time on it, right? You got 9 picks. And if this guy happens to fall and he falls in a couple categories, hey, I'm willing to do this, and this is a good plan, and the other things that you want in the 3rd round aren't there, there's a lot of ifs that have to happen to make this go. I'm just saying it's something to think about.
That's pick 74. I don't know if I want to give up a top 75 pick on a luxury like that. Not this Panthers team. Not yet. Again, in theory, I see where you're getting at. Might be a little bit too rich. Might be a little bit too rich.
Amen. You don't hit the home run if you don't take the big swing.
Yeah, well, this team needs to hit some singles and get on base. How about that? Get on base.
Listen, they've been doing that this offseason.
They've
been doing that this offseason. Shout outs to Dan Morgan for doing his thing because, in theory, this defensive line should be so much better. And that alone helps so many different issues right there. So,
in theory, we'll find out, though. Drafts in 5 weeks, folks. Again, leave your thoughts in the comment section. And tell Chris, is he right? Do you agree with Chris? Do you agree?
There's a lot of ifs.
5 weeks, folks. Stay locked in. We'll have more Panthers content for you. Make sure you subscribe.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.